Welcome all our participants and audience to the second international conference on contemporary issues in commerce. It's a pleasure to serve as the chair of the fourth and last session of our conference. And we are going to listen 6 presentations with very interesting topics. Before we start, I would like to kindly inform our participants that you will have 15 minutes for presentations. The first paper will be presented by Professor Ebru Şensöz Malkoç with the title Legal Framework of Investment in Turkey. So if you are ready, Professor Malkoç, please, you may start your presentation. The stage is yours.
Thank you, President. I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
Yes. Is it visible now for everyone?
Yes, we can see your screen right now.
Okay, thank you. As the President said, the subject of my presentation is legal framework of investment in Turkey. Turkey has always been a country which attracts the attention of investors due to its geopolitical position. Legislation regarding investment is shaped in line within the social and economic policies of the country. It's seen that our country has accepted investment-friendly regulations in the process up to now. Essentially, the foreign investment is included in the concept of right to work for foreigners, and that's protected by Turkish constitution. According to Article 48, work is everyone's right and duty, and according to Article 49, everyone has the freedom to work and contract in any field, provided enterprises are free to establish. These rights and freedoms may only be restricted by law for foreigners according to international law principles, as stated in our Constitution, Article 16. In this context, as it's related to right to work for foreigners, right to contract in any field, right to establish private enterprises, etc., the Foreign Direct Investment Law, dated 2003, is the law which should be examined as a priority. The principle of international investment in Turkey are set forth within the scope of Turkish Constitutional Code and Foreign Direct Investment Law. Additionally, bilateral and multilateral international investment agreements of which Turkey is a party. Foreign investors are protected in Turkey in terms of economic, political, and legal risks by aforesaid principles. Several special laws, such as Decision 32 regarding protection of the value of Turkish currency, petroleum law, and the law for the encouragement of tourism, and the law on industrial districts, include regulations concerning the foreign capital investments. However, our main legislation about foreign direct investments is Turkish Foreign Direct Investments Law and Regulation for Implementation of Foreign Direct Investments Law. The aim of this law is the promotion and protection of foreign implements. For this purposes, 2 substantial amendments have been made in FDI law. Of foreign direct investments law. The first one is the transition from the permission and approval system, which was the acceptance method by the previous law, to the notification system. In other words, the obligation to obtain a permission from the former authority required by the previous law is abolished. Therefore, foreign invested companies may also be established based on the same procedure with the Turkish companies. However, the conditions required to obtain permission concerning the area to be invested in special laws are reserved. Notification shall be made through a form to the Ministry of Industry and Technology, General Directorate of Incentive Implementation and Foreign Investment. A aforesaid notification should be made until the end of May at the latest each year. On June 2018, new requirements have been introduced regarding the notification to the ministry. Accordingly, all these informations, such as shareholding structure, share transfers, or increase or decrease of the share capital, will be provided to ministry via online platform, namely the Electronic Incentive Application and Foreign Investment Information System. However, liaison offices still notify on paper. The second substantial amendment made in law is the extension of the scope of definitions of foreign investor and foreign investment. As stated in FDI law, foreign investor is any natural person who is a citizen of a foreign country. Any natural person whose citizenship is Turkish, but who is resident of a foreign country. Any legal person incorporated or constituted in accordance with the legislation of a foreign country or any international institution. As well as FDI law, in BITs, the concept of foreign investor is defined. However, these definitions are not different from each other. They are not contradictory, but complementary. In any case, in order to benefit from the protection and the advantages provided to foreign investors by FDI law and relevant BITs, it's not important to be just a foreign investor in accordance with the FDI law and relevant BITs. It's also necessary that foreign investor should invest a value of foreign investment. The values of investments which shall be invested by investor in Turkey shall mean capital in cash in form of the convertible currency, stocks and bonds of foreign companies, excluding government bonds, machinery and equipment, copyrights, and industrial property rights. Returns as a result of investments, including, in particular, profit, dividends, interest, license fees, technical assistance and service fees, pecuniary claim, and other rights related to the investment having an economic value. Besides, the reinvestment earnings, revenues, financial claims, or any other investment-related rights of financial value and commercial rights for the exploration and extraction of natural resources acquired from Turkey by foreign investor are accepted as value of investment. Share certificates acquired in the stock exchange market are not accepted as direct foreign investments. However, acquisition of the shares exceeding 10% in the stock exchange markets are accepted as foreign investments. We consider that the terms of foreign investment is defined in BIT2. The definition is similar but larger. All kind of monetary capital is accepted as investment under the concept of investment in BITs. Movable and immovable property, as well as property rights thereto, accepted as a foreign investment asset. The principles of foreign investment provided by FDI law and BITs is so important. I would like to mention First of all, equity principle. It means that the investors shall exceedingly, at least mutually, benefit from the rights provided by the host country to its own citizens or third country citizens. Free transfer of interest and capital, which is guaranteed in FDI law, Article 3 and BITs, is very important, as the purpose of the foreign investments is making profit transfers freely through banks and private financial institutions should be allowed. The concept of transfer includes all the transferable values. Expropriation and compensation of losses is a very important principle, which is stated in FTA law and Turkish constitution. Investments shall not be expropriated or nationalized except for public interest and accompanied by an effective compensation. It's guaranteed in FTA law and in Turkish constitution, Article 46 and 47. Now, I would like to mention about legal forms of investment in Turkey in accordance with FTA law and BITs. As specified in BITs, purchase of movable and immovable property, establishment of a new Turkish company in all company types, incorporated or unincorporated partnerships, purchase of share certificates equivalent to 10% of a Turkish company by the foreign investor, license, know-how, technical assistance and management agreements, build, operate and transfer, BOTs or build and transfer, BTs, opening a branch office of a foreign company in Turkey, setting up a liaison office of a foreign company in Turkey. For the last point, I would like to mention about dispute resolution methods. As well as in FDI law, dispute resolution methods for both kinds of disputes are defined in details in BITs. According to FDI law, investment disputes may be resolved by national or international arbitration. We should say that arbitration, and in particular, exit convention on the settlement of investment disputes between states and nationals of the other states, is very important for the resolution of investment disputes. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor, for the informative presentation. So I would like to ask to our audience if you have any questions to our professor. Okay, I see that it's so clear, so there is no question. Thank you, Professor, for the presentation.
Thank you, President. Thank you.
I would like to move to the second presentation from Professor Elif Gevrek with her title, The Influence of Consumers' Pretentious Consumption Tendencies on Global Brand Preferences. So, Professor, if you are ready, you may start your presentation. And good luck.
Yeah, I'm ready, President. Thank you. Can you see my screen?
We can see your screen right now. When you are ready, you may start your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to introduce myself briefly. I'm Elif Gevrek. I'm a PhD student in marketing management, simultaneously on the sectorial and academic journey. I want to thank all the professors and participants. As the president mentioned, my presentation is about the influence of consumers' pretentious consumption tendencies on global brand preferences. Consumption, as you know, is expressed as a phenomenon whose main element is the satisfaction of the need, and which also contains many elements and gains different meanings over time. Consumption, which is more than just a process that provides the satisfaction of physical needs, appears in the form of revealing the material and spiritual values that people are willing to sacrifice in order to meet some of their social and cultural needs. A consumer is defined as a person who purchases a product or service to meet his or her physiological or psychological needs. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, physiological needs come first, followed by safety, love, belonging, esteem, and self-actualization needs. However, when it comes to pretentious consumption, the aim of obtaining status is at the forefront. It goes beyond the necessary needs. The basis of pretentious consumption is the perception of the purchased products or services as an image indicator. A part of the society consumes only with the aim of impressing and showing off to others, apart from their basic needs. In fact, some individuals are more in demand of brands that will allow them to show off rather than the brands that will meet their physiological and safety needs. They have the tendency of pretentious consumption in order to display their personal images and show their status. They believe that this kind of consumption will bring them prestige and differentiate them from others. Veblen is the pioneer in the area of scientific analysis of the term pretentious consumption, which is an ongoing phenomenon since ancient times. Just as people who used to consume in order to show their power and status in their own environments in the past, today also individuals consume for the same purposes. And according to Veblen, class differences lie at the root of pretentious consumption. Although Veblen considers consumption within the scope of social factors, he argues that the main purpose of consumers in preferring certain brands is to show their social power. For the consumers who have pretentious consumption tendency, the purpose of proving status through the product or service takes precedence over the purpose of obtaining benefits. Between two automobile brands which have the same function of taking the consumer from point A to point B, choosing the expensive one can be regarded as an example to this situation. Hereby, the product fulfills its basic function as well as serving the consumer's purpose of showing off. Global brands, in its simplest form, is a brand that consistently marketed and sold all over the world. In all countries of operation, global brands show a high degree of similarity in terms of brand identity, brand personality, positioning, communication strategies, products, packaging, and even emotions. Consumers with pretentious consumption tendencies may prefer global brands more than some other brands because it is seen that these global brands are widely available in international markets and gain considerable recognition. In the eyes of consumers who have pretentious consumption tendencies, global brands are in a more preferable position than local brands, since they are regarded more respectful and high quality. The aim of the study is to reveal the influence of consumers' pretentious consumption tendencies on global brand preferences by eliminating the existing studies and to shed light on the studies to be done on this subject in the future. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for the interesting presentation. So if you have any questions, again, dear audience, you may ask. If there is no question, then we can move to other presentation from Gizem Ateş with her title, Brand Protection in the International Market Case Study.
Hello. Can you see my screen?
Is it Gizem Ateş or?
Yes.
Okay, the presentations got mixed. Okay, now we can see your screen. If you are ready, you may start your presentation.
Dear participants, welcome to my presentation. My topic is brand protection in the international market case study. The rapidly developing advanced technology in recent years, the widespread use of internet and the speed of globalization have led international firms to new markets. All activities of these firms have also faced the necessity of adapting to transition from different regulations to standard universe rules. The most fundamental change has taken place at the point of turning the national registration into the international registration for these firms, especially when the world is under a single market on a global scale. Brands create products that will share the same feelings and thought with almost everyone. The contents or works of the products produced have also become common. On the other hand, it has been observed that various problems, disagreements, and economic and legal conflicts have arisen between the parties due to the copying and sharing of certain aspects of trade markets that have spread so rapidly and are protected as rights in the context of industrial and intellectual rights in the different sectors. The study focuses on these conflicts and aims to discuss two case studies on the axis of intellectual and industrial rights. The study is designed in a qualitative pattern. Louis Vuitton is globally recognized brand and has achieved great success in the luxury manufacturer class. Louis Vuitton brand, originating from France, has made its success sustainable by opening luxury stores in the many countries of the world. What if the same name is used in another country? What if the same design is used in another sector? The reason for the case in question started with the use of the brand in a different sector in another country. It's appeared as Louis Vuitton Duck Restaurant in Seoul, Korea. In addition to the Louis Vuitton name, the owner of restaurant used the iconic Louis Vuitton monogram, creating a similar design to be used on the food packaging and napkins. Louis Vuitton was dissatisfied with the fried chicken restaurant, damaging its brand and sued the restaurant in the Seoul Central District Court because the name of restaurant was damaging. The court ordered the restaurant to pay a fine of 500,000 won. It is a second case when famous people became characters in computer games. Their tattoos constitute copyright infringement. Solet Oyak claimed that the use of a total of 5 tattoos of NBA players, Eric, James and Martin, in the game without their permission constitute copyright infringement. Take-Two Interactive Software argued that players' tattoos did not play a significant role in the sale of the game. They stated that the consumer who buys this game can choose to buy this game for many reasons, but not because of James' tattoo. To Take-Two said that NBA 2K is being made with all possible retailers. They argued that the purpose of using the tattoos was not the same as the purpose for which the tattoos were created. In addition, since the tattoos in the game are created much similar than their normal size, it is very unlikely that players will see the tattoos while playing the game. Therefore, tattoos are not added to the game for the sake of commercial return. As a result, the USA District Courts sit with the game procedure company with this decision and reject the lawsuit. During the study, the reasons and consequences of legal development are analyzed. In addition, the necessity of the supranational regulation on brand production is presented. It is emphasized how important it is to protect brands, to protect global trade. Advanced technology will continue to develop in the information society. The new customer finding processes will be realized in new markets in a limited time, in seconds, and spread to the whole world simultaneously with production. As a result, protective regulation have been pointed out for international brands in order to prevent various right violations related to intellectual property, prevent crime, and protect brand rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Gizem, for the nice case study presentation. I see there is no other question, so I would like to give the floor to our PhD students in our International Trade Department. from Iran, Neginsadat and Sharare. Her title is How Globalization Has Transformed Advertising and Globalization Theories in the Global Market. So I guess, Negin, you are the one to present your paper. If you are ready, the stage
Hello,
is yours.
Professor. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your screen.
Okay. Can I start it now?
Please, you may start your presentation.
Hello, everyone. Our presentation is about the globalization, how globalization has transformed advertising strategy that is prepared by me, Neginsadat, Bekheir, and my friend Sharare Najafi. Can I start? Globalization and advertising are two phenomena that have become increasingly intertwined in the global market. Globalization has brought about significant changes to the advertising industry with the emergence of new technology and the ability to reach audiences on a global scale. In fact, the advertising industry has been both a driver and a beneficiary of globalization. With the rise of global brands, there has been a shift towards a homogenization of culture, which has been criticized as a form of cultural imperialism. However, the advertising industry also enables local cultures to be expressed and disseminated to wider audience. In fact, when we are going to define the advertising, we should mention about four main points. The first one is the advertising is a key marketing tool that includes persuasive communication aimed at promoting a product, service, idea, organization, or personality. The second one is a part of marketing communication that includes public relations, sales promotion, and direct marketing. The third one is a content-specific message designed to persuade a chosen target audience. And when we are going to talk about its goals, we should mention about awareness, knowledge, liking, preference, purchase, and adoption. The part of marketing communication, public relations, sales promotion, and when we are talking about advertising, we should mention about three essential criteria. The first one is a communication that must be paid for. The second one is the message must be delivered to an audience via mass media. And the third one is a communication that must be attempting persuasion. Advertising has three main theoretical methodological framework. The first one is modernization paradigm that is a controlling influence tool to shape cultural values and industries that uses psychological techniques to create consumer base that relies on mass product goods and profits of modernity that have created a new way of life. About Americanization paradigm originated in the US and expanded globally through a process to cultural dominance, a key role in shaping the work practices of European advertising industries, including the organization of ad agencies, payment structures for admin, the use of scientific methods to develop strategies, create techniques, and more. Semiotic paradigm argues about the concentrate on the output of the advertising industry, specifically the advertisements themselves. To develop a historical understanding, researchers analyze advertisements featured in various media using a content analysis approach. Advertisements are ideological domain that can uncover a society's genuine values, beliefs, and prevailing attitudes. When we back to the concept of the globalization, we should mention it refers to the increasing interconnectedness and interdependence of economy, society, and cultures around the world, resulting from the growing flow of goods, services, information, and people across national borders. And it involves the integration of national economies into a global economy facilitated by advances in technology, transportation, and communication. The most important impact of globalization is summarizing, it has led to the emergence of new global institutions such as the World Trade Organization or WTO, and the spread of cultural, political, and social trends across national boundaries. It has also been associated with the rise of transnational corporations, the growth of global trade, and the increasing importance of international finance. When we are talking about the globalization advertising, we should have a special attention about the opportunities and challenges. About the challenge, is loss of cultural diversity by promoting a standardization of culture, dilution of brand name power, and identify a true market needs are the most important challenges. And about opportunities, we should mention about it has facilitated the spread of global brands, advertising campaigns, enable company to reach wider audience and increase their market share, and gain competitiveness through targeting based on specific demographics and create personalized content. When we're talking about the impact of globalization advertising, GCCP, that stands to the Global Consumer Culture Positioning Perspective, applied in advertising research in order to explore the degree to which global positioning works in cross-national advertising. The relationship between advertising and globalization theories is complex, and globalization has been altered the advertising industry with the emergence of new technologies and the ability to reach audience on a global scale. The advertising industry has been both a driver and beneficiary of globalization. Consequently, there has been a shift towards the homogenization of culture that has been criticized as a form of cultural imperialism. However, it enables local cultures to be expressed and disseminated to the wider audiences. Some globalization theories argue that the advertising industry is a tool of cultural imperialism, promoting the values and norms of Western societies and eroding local cultures. Other theories suggest that the advertising industry can empower local cultures by providing a platform for their expression on a global scale. The impact of globalization on advertising industry is evident in the growth of digital and social media, which has transformed the way advertisers interact with consumers. Overall, the relationship between advertising and globalization theories highlighted the complex interplay between global economies, political and cultural forces, and the role of advertising in shaping cultural norms and value on a global scale. There are four global advertising models, and here we evaluate their effectiveness. The first one is the IDA model that causes we understanding its element for effective advertising. ELM model, or the elaboration likelihood model, understanding psychological of persuasion. The hierarchy of effect model, understanding its elements and application in advertising. The social learning theory, understanding how people learn from others. IDA model is the model provides an understanding of the impact of norms and advertising on promoting environmental behavior. Social norms and advertising messages had a positive impact on customers' environmental behaviors, including their willingness to pay more for environmentally friendly options. The findings provide insights into how advertising can be used to promote sustainable behaviors. It has four main elements: attention, desire, interest, and action. About that attention was captured through advertising messages that highlighted the benefits of environmental behaviors, such as reducing carbon emissions and promoting sustainable purchasing decisions. About the interest, the advertising messages were designed to generate interest for environmental behaviors, and options highlighted the advantages of sustainable purchase, such as cost saving and reduce environmental impact. About the desire, the advertising message also aimed to create desire among customers to engage in environmental behaviors, such as choosing environmental friendly purchasing options and paying more for them. About the action, the advertising message included a clear call to action, encouraging consumers to engage in pro-environmental behaviors and choose sustainable purchasing options. The second model is the elaboration likelihood model, ELM, that is a theoretical framework developed to explain how individuals process persuasive messages and make decisions. Proposes that people can be motivated to process information either through a central rule. It's a careful consideration, evaluation of arguments through a peripheral route, surface level cues and heuristics. The extent of elaboration or careful consideration depends on the individual motivation and ability to process the message. It suggests that persuasive message can be more effective when tailored to the individual's level of elaboration, and that various factors such as message content, source, credibility, and audience characteristics can influence the processing route. Assumption that we state in ELM model, people have limited cognitive resources and processing capacities. Persuasion can occur through two routes, and a peripheral, the central route involves a systematic evaluation of the argument's quality, while the peripheral route relies on centralistic cues such as source attractiveness or a message length. The two routes have different consequences for attitude changes and behavioral intention. The central route leads to a stronger and more persistent attitudes, greater elaboration, and more resistant to counter arguments. The peripheral route leads to weaker and less persistent attitude, less elaboration, and more susceptibility to distractions. The ELM can be applied to various persuasive communication contexts, including advertising, politics, and health promotion. The rules of persuasion depends on the individual's motivation to process the information and ability to do it. Motivation can be intrinsic or extrinsic, and ability can high or low. Another model is a hierarchy of effect model that refers to the stages that the consumer goes through when making a purchasing decision, starting with awareness of the product or service and moving through various stages such as knowledge, liking, preference, and ultimately purchase intention and actual purchase. It's a theoretical model that describes the step a consumer takes before making a purchase and is used by advertisers to create effective advertising campaigns. Describes the steps a consumer takes before making a purchase and is used by advertisers to create effective advertising campaigns. When we are going to evaluate the hierarchy of effect model elements, we should mention about the cognitive, that includes awareness and knowledge, affective, liking, preference, conviction, and behavioral, that includes purchase. Awareness refers to the level of knowledge and recognition that consumers have about a particular brand or product. Objective of advertising is to grab the attention of the target audience and make them aware of the brand or product, and can be measured in terms of recall and recognition. Knowledge refers to the extent to which consumers have learned about the brand, its attributes, and its benefits. In this stage, consumers may develop an understanding of the brand's features, advantages, and benefits, leading to favorable attitudes towards it. Liking refers to the consumers' attitudes towards the advertisement and brand. This is where the consumer evaluate the advertisement and forms and options about it. Preference refers to the development of favorable disposition towards a particular brand or product as a result of advertising. It involves consumers' formation of emotional attachment to the brand or a product based on their experience with it or its advertising. Conviction refers to the level of beliefs or faith of consumers toward a particular brand, that some consumers had a strong desire to purchase the product and is convicted that it's the right choice for them. And the last one is the purchase. The consumer decides to buy the product or service, has passed through all the previous stages and is ready to make the purchase decision. Influenced by various factors such as price, availability, and promotions, it is important for marketers to ensure that the product or service is available all the right place, all the right time. About social learning theory, it concerns the psychological process of observers and encompasses drives mechanisms such as stimulus or local enhancement, social facilitation, observation, conditioning, imitation. Imitation is described as a process of observation copies of object by ignoring the demonstrates body movement. Learns about the properties of objects, relationship, functions, outcome of the action, and the process of gathering and analyzing data from various sources such as social media platform to inform business decisions, and it's targeted advertising where data from a browser and searching is used to show relevant ads on the user's timeline based on their social media behavior. And lastly, we should evaluate the success and challenges of the effect of globalization on advertising. Globalization has significantly transformed the advertising industry, allowing for emergence of new technological technologies and the ability to reach audience on a global scale. The advertising industry has been both a driver and beneficiary of globalization, leading to increased competition and the rise of global brands. However, there have been concerns about the homogenization of culture and the potential for cultural imperialism through the standardization of advertising campaigns. Various advertising models, such as the IDA model and elaboration livelihood model, ELM, have been developed to understand the factors that influence a consumer's response to advertising message. The ELM model, for instance, assumes that the level of elaboration and motivation determines the type of processing that occurs, and that advertising messages can be processed either centrally or peripherally. The hierarchy of effect model emphasizes the importance of creativity, relevance, and divergence in the development of successful advertising campaigns. By understanding related models and the impact of globalization on advertising, companies can develop effective strategies that resonate with diverse audiences across the globe. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Negin, for the nice presentation.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
So we can move to the next presentation from Itır Aykut with her paper titled Circular Economy. So, Professor, if you are ready, you may start your presentation and you may reflect your PowerPoint.
Thank you, Professor Köksal. Hopefully this is the last but not the least of the program. So I hope everybody's awake, and I'll close the program with my presentation on circular economy. The title is Circular Economy, a European Policy, with a question mark at the end. So I'm sure that you are aware what circular economy is. Today's presentation is merely an introduction of the concept. It is a part of a larger study, in fact, of the analytical tools, a comparison between linear and circular economy, why we need a circular economy, what kind of changes on the regularity side have been made on the concept, how the concept has been implemented, what were the challenges, is there a market for it, how is it linked with innovation and design? That ends with a case study on the global textile sector. So hopefully today's introduction will give you some idea of the study I have conducted. To start with, therefore, we always talk about circular economy, but nobody really understands what it is. It is anything but an uncontested concept. So there's so many arguments about what it is, why, and when it was introduced, and by whom, how it is used, what it serves to achieve, and whether it is achievable at all, as with many other new concepts that have been developed to save the world. So therefore, it is a policy concept before it's a concept itself. So it was born out of a policy, but it's an unfinished policy. It's a policy in the making. It nevertheless offers a way out for policymakers. So it is a tool developed by policymakers in order to solve the world's unlimited problems. It is also viewed as a vision of the future. Yes, it's a very broad concept. So is it, however, an all-purpose label is the question that we have to look into. So by covering everything, does it really cover everything, or it doesn't cover anything at all? Therefore, it's been named as a blessing and a curse because there's been so many attempts to describe it. Everybody's interested in it. It's a crucial roadmap to solve the planet's existential crisis. It has both theoretical and empirical basis that always keeps opening new ways for further discussion. I will quote Gramsci here, as the old is dying and the new cannot be born, in the integrum, a great variety of morbid systems appear. So I could describe circular economy as such a morbid symptom that we're trying to name as a name in order to solve what we are faced with when our world is facing an existential problem. So let's go back to basics and start with what is circular economy? It is a closed loop system. So the economy is actually like a cycle wise. We have to close the end of the economy in order to talk about a circular economy. If you imagine in economics, we had the linear economy so far until quite recently. However, now we're talking about a closed loop system. And these three principles, as developed, as mentioned in McKinsey report, the first of which is the conservation and enrichment of natural capital gains. What does that mean? It means regulating the use of limited resources. So we have resources that are limited and we have to regulate their use. And it is, on the other hand, is a resort to renewable ones. So we can not only use the limited resources, we have to use the renewable ones. So that's the first principle. The second one is circulating products, components, and materials at the maximum level. So we do not only use and dispose, we go back and use the waste and reuse them in order to optimize the return on resources. So we cannot really get rid of the resources altogether in one use. We have to reuse. And the third principle is the elimination of negative externalities. The externalities exist everywhere. We just have to get rid of the negative ones. Why? Because we need to make our systems more effective. The way that our systems are working, they are ineffective. Therefore, circular economy as a concept is imagined to be restorative. It's a restoring the economy. It is not only building, using, but restoring. But what does restorative mean? Do we know what restorative economy is? It means innovative eco-design. So everything has to start at the design point. We do not only have to reduce weight, waste, pollution. This isn't enough anymore. We have to start at the beginning when we're designing our products. So it means we have to come up with a superior product design at the very beginning, at the imaginative stage. That's why it is innovative eco-design. So how then, what can we imagine when a product is eco-design? It has to be longer in durability, so it has to survive. It has to use fewer materials, not as many. Instead of building a t-shirt with 100 materials, we have to do it with 2 or 3. And of course, fewer energy inputs. What does it mean? It means the substitutability of more readily available resources. So these resources, the resources we are using should be more readily available, not limited ones as we do today, instead of the scarce ones. And so that we can restore the ecological environment. So circular economy also has to have a business management point of view. We can't do it alone. It's a business world. The business is using these resources. We need the business to earn money. We need the business to survive. So we need to have a look at the circular economy, not only on environmental and climate change basis, but also on the basis of business management, because business creates jobs. So why should businesses even bother? They should, because in order for them to survive, circular economy is a must. Therefore, firms should reimagine their extended mission and function. Are they merely suppliers of goods? No, they shouldn't be, even if they were until now. From now on, they should reimagine themselves as a supplier of repair and maintenance and service of these goods that they sell. Why should they do it? Because they have to look into the higher added value inherent in services. They have to use less material input in the repair and maintenance process. Circular economy, in turn, contributes to the service economy, not only the product economy, but also the service economy. Digitalizing supply chain and logistics, firms should follow up on the products through their life cycle. They should know where their products are going until the very end, not only until they sell it to the consumer. Of course, circular economy is a contested concept that we have said at the beginning of the presentation. It's not without its challenges, because the friction between environmental limitations and economic growth are huge. This is why we still are struggling with circular economy and the concept that it is. It is a long-term behavioral change. It is not a short-term thing that we can tackle from today to tomorrow. It involves inclusiveness. We have to include everybody, especially the underrepresented and most exposed stakeholders when we talk about circular economy. They all should agree to the strategies and work with it. Nevertheless, circular economy is still a very dynamic policy. It is a European policy because it was born in the European Union, because before it's a world policy, so it will evolve from Europe to the world. You could imagine European Union as an experimental pool on it. And there's a long way to go, but we should be optimistic and keep talking about the subject and develop new strategies, new technologies every day in order to come up with new solutions and putting circular economy to work. That concludes my presentation of the introduction on circular economy, a European policy. Professor Köksal, microphone is yours.
Thank you very much, dear Professor, for providing us very informative information about the circular economy. So I would like to see if there's any question regarding the presentation. So I see there is no question, so everything is clear. So thank you very much once more for your participation to our conference. And I would like to give the floor to the last presentation. Now they show up Berfin, Kurtel, Meral, Uslu, and Furkan Seven with their title, Trends Driving the Increase in Second-Hand Purchasing Behavior and Assessments for the Future of the Industry. So I think, Berfin, you are the one to present your paper. If you are ready, you may start your presentation.
Okay. Wait a second. Dear professors and participants, I greet with your respect. I work at Istanbul Minerals and Metals Exporters Association as an assistant expert. In the study that I will present you to shortly, I'll explain the factors that lead consumers to second-hand products, the future of the second-hand sector in both physical and online environments, and the difficulties that the sector may face. In the times of climate change and global warming, sustainability is becoming a more important issue in retail than ever before. Consumer definitions of sustainability vary significantly by region and demographic. In some markets, brands' environmental impacts and manufacturing processes are the first consideration for shoppers, while in other ethical working practices and animal welfare may be greater concerns. Young consumers in particular are interested in accessing information about the origin of products and how companies treat their employees and the environment. People use different types of products to meet their needs and wants. These products are produced using numerous types of raw materials. In most cases, these products are manufactured with virgin materials intended for a single user. Sustainable development invites manufacturers to limit the use of raw materials. Focusing on consumers towards creating a sustainable consumer society can provide a partial solution to material use limitation. The transition of products from one-person ownership to multiple-person ownership is crucial in reducing the use of unused materials in the long run. Addressing sustainable consumption at the consumer level can help create a closed product cycle that facilitates waste reduction and resource use. The retail industry has been undergoing a transformation in recent years. Sustainability has become an important topic in retail due to its cross-relevance with terms such as sustainable development, food waste, sustainable supply chain. Also, it has become a competitive advantage among retailers by redefining consumer needs and values. While the retail industry can respond to pressure from consumers and stakeholders by embracing sustainability, it can achieve cost savings by attracting Generation Y and Generation Z consumers. It can also pave the way for their business to become more profitable by increasing productivity. The retail industry has seen significant change as the voices against wasteful consumption have led to an alternative model known as the circular economy. As Arman and Herbert stated, the participation of the end consumer in the reuse activities of the circular economy, which George Colonsy put forward in his interview with the New York Times, is called re-commerce. Re-commerce is a relatively new term that describes the sale of second-hand, unused, refurbished, or recycled products in a circular economy, mostly through online platforms. Actually, this business model is not new, but it lacked an infrastructure. Today's technology provides infrastructure by filling this gap. Ease of use and e-commerce platforms that provide confidence in purchases allow the development of the e-commerce market. In other words, e-commerce can be said to be a type of customer-to-customer trading process in which second-hand items are bought and sold by non-businesses. Effective end consumers engagement ensures appropriate cyclical activity of customers, and customers' environmental concerns are key to greening their product offerings. It's stated that the total e-commerce market in Europe in 2021 is worth 75 billion euros. Increasing ecological awareness and also higher price sensitivity among consumers due to the inflation pushed the market further. A market volume of 200 billion euros corresponding to an increase of 60% is expected for 2025. It's also expected that the role of e-commerce in general will increase. The share of second-hand e-commerce in the overall online retail market is projected to increase from 10% in 2021 to 14% in 2025. Consumers are also looking more positively towards second-hand shopping day by day. The increase in e-commerce leads to an increase in online second-hand platforms. Second-hand e-commerce markets have a supply management advantage resulting from the use of the internet and other technological supports. As these approaches optimize e-commerce, peer-to-peer exchange, and even auction services for online domains, online resale platforms has gained a large base of customers willing to buy, trade, or sell their belongings and clothing. Online used resale platforms are booming industry with increasing recognition of the various economic, environmental, and recreational benefits of buying and selling used products. Asia is one of the dominant forces in the industry. In 2021, the customer-to-customer market accounted for almost a quarter of China's online retail sales. Taobao, a Chinese online shopping platform offering C2C services, is the world's most popular online marketplace based on gross merchandise value. The company had a gross merchandise value approximately 17-11 billion in 2021. The e-commerce market in the United States in 2021 is estimated to be more than $1,600 billion, a 15% increase from approximately $1,400 billion in 2020. It's expected that this growth will continue in the future and will approach $245 billion by 2025. The success of C2C trading can also be observed in Europe. In 2021, approximately 43% of cross-border marketplaces in the European Union were consumer to consumer by 2025. This share is expected to take up half of the market. Etsy, Vinted, and Back Market are three major market players in Europe, focusing on the sale of second-hand goods. All three are among the top 100 marketplaces by total gross merchandise value in Europe. All three marketplaces have grown significantly in recent years. Vinted, a Lithuanian C2C platform focusing on second-hand fashion, achieved a compound growth rate of 64% between 2019 and 2023. Etsy, the American platform, almost doubled its gross merchandise value from 2019 and 2020 with the effect of pandemic. Although its growth has slowed since then, the growth rate between 2019 and 2023 is around 30%. It can be said that this rate is high. The back market growth of the marketplaces between the years 2019 and 2023 are displayed on the screen. Online auctions, used goods retail websites and online classified websites also serve as an important agents for the redistribution of used products. Such intermediaries ensure that the waste caused by excessive consumption in the society is reduced. Online second-hand markets are also an important part of the growing sharing economy fueled by the growth in information technology. Selling second-hand products creates an ecosystem in the circular and sharing economy. One of the main reasons for buying second-hand products is that consumers do not want or cannot afford to buy new products. Another is that consumers cannot buy new products due to the lack of supply in the market. However, the quality of second-hand products can be uncertain for consumers who do not know the real quality of the products before purchasing. This uncertainty creates a long-standing moral hazard problem in purchasing second-hand products. Sellers generally have more product quality information than buyers. For example, counterfeit goods are common in the luxury market, but most consumers are unable to distinguish a counterfeit from the original when consuming second-hand goods. Second-hand sales provide price accessibility to consumers beyond sustainability. Consumers want and buy second-hand. It makes these purchasing decisions according to competitive prices. Consumers can access the pieces of their favorite brands in this way and add them to their own collections. Prices are also managed directly or through B2B providers. The checks and balances approach to pricing is not always valid. The market is filled with an information asymmetry that gives the seller an advantage. Second-hand pricing is about sharing transparency with the seller and building credibility. The scalable algorithm can create a solution to this problem. Market data needs to be compared with historical data. Therefore, the classification and standardization are important. Pricing can also be optimized using advanced technology. Today, social media also stands out as a trading platform. It offers cross-platform consumer-to-consumer direct trading. Critical factors such as the spread of environmental awareness and the importance of sustainability trigger a new trend among retailers that embrace second-hand sales and repurpose unsold or unwanted inventory. And consumers are becoming more influential in their purchasing decisions day by day. Although the market has been developing rapidly, it brings difficulties such as price determination or reliability, but its advantages structure that allows trade among consumers is the reason for preference. And here is my references. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Berfin, for the interesting presentation. So as our conference is over, on behalf of Istanbul Ticaret University International Trade Department, I would like to thank all our participants and audience for your interest. And special thanks to our rector, Professor Ömer Torlak, our head of department, Professor Figen Yıldırım, and our keynote speaker, Professor Franco Masconi, for making this organization possible. Also, I would like to thank to our organization committee members and all professors and our students attending our conference. We hope that the sessions were informative for you and fruitful to you. And I wish you all to have a nice day, and we hope to meet you all again in the near future. Thank you very much.